they do get taken aback, and some people feel that they need to help the stutterer to help them answer, fill in the gaps, or if you're trying to get something out for them to try to help. But unfortunately, that is not a way to help a stutterer. The way to help a stutterer is let them finish.
Welcome to Some Stutter Law, Newfoundland and Labrador's first podcast about living with communication disorders. It is a production of the Communication Collaborative. My name is Greg O'Grady. I am a person who stutters and your host. Some Stutter Law aims to rebuild confidence and hope for people who live with communication differences by dismantling myths, stigma, stereotypes, and barriers. For more information about the Communication Collaborative or this podcast, you can find us at somestutterlaw.ca. If you only get one thing from this podcast, we hope it's this. It's okay to stutter, and it's okay to communicate differently. It's not how we communicate that's important, it's the message that's important. To today, Some Stutter Law welcomes Steven Hiscock. Steven works full-time with the Burgeo Newfoundland Labrador Broadcasting Station. There, to let our listeners know that I was introduced to Steven via an article that the Saltwater Newfoundland, powered by the Telegram, did on Steven. And the title of the article was A Stutterer No More, Burgeo Newscaster Earning Accolades for Talking Abilities. Steve, before we start, would you be able to share with our listeners a little bit about this article?
Yes, actually, the article came out of there was an award that I was up for. The community voted on this award, and if I won the award, I would get $2,000 for the kids who were at the school for their snack program. And we also, me and my boss, got to go to BC for the ceremony and a conference for within like the broadcasting world. I got to meet some people from A&E and some of these major companies and stuff like that. And I just got to know the people at the newspaper, and they were intrigued on what was happening, and they did not realize that I had a speech impediment before I started, and they just wanted to know my story.
Great. And what was the outcome, Steve?
I did win. I did win the...
Congratulations.
Yes. And I was more than happy to give $2,000 to the school. And then, being a stutterer, and then I had to present that to the school, the whole school, and get up and have a little speech, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I got through it, and I might not sound like I stutter, but I do in my time. I do stutter. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Steve, because to stand up in front of an audience, it takes courage. It really does. And, the more that we do it, the more that the fear is lessened.
Yes, absolutely.
We become more confident. We face our fears. Yep. So, Steve, could you tell our listeners a little bit about your history as a person who stutters?
Well, I remember stuttering, pretty much all my life. My mother actually had a stutter when she was younger, so it is in the family. They do say that it is hereditary, somewhat. It can be passed down. So I had it when I was young, and I was bullied a lot. I was to the point which I would not speak. My mother would go to the school, tell the teachers, like, hey, you're going to have to help my son because he's not learning nothing. He don't want to learn nothing. And and all this stuff. So then, luckily enough, when I got to a certain age, there was a program in which that a lady would actually pull me from my class probably a couple times a week, and her name was Stella Grant, and I thought she was one of the most sweetest women you ever meet in your life. And I mean, she used to take me and try to, do exercises and readings and all that stuff. But when you're in a toxic environment, they don't do much. You know what I mean? I mean, like sometimes the teachers would actually, they wouldn't even help. Like they wouldn't even, you know what I mean? I don't think they really cared at that point, right?
Mm,
So, but yeah, I was very socially awkward. You know what I mean? I never really started going outdoors like with groups of friends until I was in grade 9, grade 10. So I was pretty isolated until like later on in life. And you know what I mean? I had to find friends that accepted me because I stuttered. I was not cool. I was not wanted, right? And
mm,
and I mean, like you be in class, and worst thing ever, the teacher asks you to read out something, and you know it yourself, like how that is, and when this kid starts giggling and laughing before you even speak, they don't help either, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So when I went to college, I had to, you know what I mean, you usually go to college, and college is not like your typical classroom. You go into college, and you don't really have your desks and stuff. You're more or less, you know what I mean, just in these seats and stuff like that. But it was a small class, and just that notion of, okay, teacher gets up. All right, how about everyone come in and sit down and introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And especially
I hear you, Steve. Don't worry, I hear
right,
you.
right. Especially my name is Steven, and S's, M's, and B's, just ones that you got that extra motion to get that syllable out. I was, oh, the anxiety was beyond belief. And then when it was my time, I spoke, I stuttered, the room was silent, and I was taken back a bit, and I was like, no one's not laughing. No one's not like it was a different feeling. Like I felt amazing. Like I felt normal, like everybody else, right? And I mean, like nobody never, you know what I mean, like sneered at me or not. Like I was just blown away. And then after that, I come to a realization that not everyone is mean. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so then
True.
I started like, you know what I mean. So then I had a taste of that, and I was like, I can improve myself, I guess. So then in a way, I didn't stay at school. I come back home and work then on the Fisherman's Wharf with my father. And I don't know if you knows anything about dealing with fishermen, but you need a backbone to deal with fishermen. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of picked up a bit of a backbone down there, a little bit more independent myself, and picking up for myself. I did have a occurrence while working with grown adults. They come in and I asked me how much fish they had or this and that, and I stuttered, and they made fun of me, and I just freaked on them. I just
Mm,
you mean I'll be honest with you, when I get mad or if I change the tone of my voice, I will not stutter. And that's
mm-hmm.
just something that I realized that growing up was that something. So if I can do different voices for like characters and stuff like that, and I just will not stutter. And so when I get mad, they were totally thrown back because I was throwing words at them faster than what they were able to think about, right? And so,
Mm,
but after that, they respected me because that I showed them that I wasn't going to put up with it, right? But then over time, I just started getting out of it. I started doing my own routines. One thing that I does is that I will not look at the person directly. Normally, you're talking to someone, you look at them directly in the face, and as you notice right now, I mean we're on this camera. I'm still not looking at the screen really. So there's one
mm,
tactic in which that I done. Now I always explains to someone that I'm going to be speaking to for a while that so that is no disrespect to them because you know what I mean it is respectful to look at that person and stuff like that. Another thing is if I feel inside that I'm going to get stuck, I kind of slacks back a bit. I throttles myself back because in my experience being a stutterer, you try to get everything out in one breath. That is
mm-hmm,
one of the
mm,
main issues
true.
that I've encountered. So I try to take a step back and you know me and you kind of don't really think about what you're going to say because that really messes with you as well. You can probably uh, agree to that because when you're flooding your brain with what you're going to say, it
Mm-hmm.
really. So if you try to be a little bit more spontaneous, I found that it really helps, right? So, but then I got it with the BBS, and that was one job I never thought I would do. And I mean, I did stutter at first, this and that. There was a lot of cuts in the videos, which that you mean you might see little clips in which that I fixed it so it didn't look like I was stuttering and stuff like that. But that's the beauty of video. So, but hopefully I'm not talking too much because you know, I mean one time I never spoke tall and now they can't get me shut up.
Oh no, my God! You're welcome to say as much as you like, Steve. Steve, in what situations do you find more challenging now in terms of your fluency or your stuttering? I mean, what like I was noticing as you were saying at work now, two of the tools you use is breathing and a not looking at your spaces, but what other areas that cause you more anxiety or when it's more evident that you stutter?
You know, I mean, some people would just put off a different aura, I guess, as you say. You know, I mean, I could walk into a room and I can tell if that person's intimidating or not and stuff like that. And it's just sometimes, I mean, how you're feeling. It's a lot to do with mood. And it's all about that, really, right? I mean, it's all just about how you can
Mm-hmm.
regulate like your emotions and this and that. Sometimes, you know, I mean, just like just could be a certain person in which that you could be more nervous to speak to about. You know, what I mean, maybe you're, I mean, talking to like the town mayor. I mean, you knows the mayor and all that stuff. But then when you go and meet your MHA that you don't see every day, then you could be a little bit more nervous because you know, I mean this person is a professional person that knows how to speak and all that stuff. And but you know, what I mean, you just got to try it. I learned that if you don't
Mm-hmm.
try it, you won't know. I would never get up in front and speak to people in public. And you know what I mean? I was at a public meeting the other night, and I put up my hand and give my question and stuff like that. And I was like, I all of a sudden realized I was like, I didn't even worry about that. So it comes with
Mm,
time, right?
excellent.
Right. So like the more you does it, the more confidence you're going to get into it, right? And
Mm,
it's hard to explain why that I don't stutter as much. I guess that is just subconscious in my mind now. But there is certain times that I
mm-hmm.
can be like all of a sudden like I know that I'm getting stuck and then I just like whew take a little breath and then restart again, right? So Do you find? You go
Do
ahead.
you? Sorry, yes. No. Do you self-identify, Stephen, when you're meeting new people, like the politicians within your community? Whenever you have to go to an informal meeting, do you self-identify? My name is Steven Hiscock. I'm a person who stutters. Do you do
Uh,
that, or is it necessary?
well, within the community, people, where everybody knows that I'm a stutterer. So, so most people that's in the community, they just knows that anyway. But if there is someone new that I
Mm,
am speaking to, I will I will identify that I do have a speech impediment. Yes, I do. Yeah, just so
okay.
that is a better
Does that?
understanding then, right, on their part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And does that make you feel more, I guess, empowered, more relaxed, that you're being very open, and it helps you prevent from hiding your
Yes,
stutter?
yes. Because sometimes when people's not expecting it, they do get taken aback, and some people feel that they need to help the stutterer to help them answer. Fill in the gaps, or if you're trying to get something out for them to try to help. But unfortunately, that is not a way to help a stutterer. The way to help a stutterer is let them finish, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Respectfully.
Don't finish the words. Don't finish the
Mm-hmm.
words.
Right?
Mm,
I had that a
yeah.
lot. People, and and you get to the point in which that when you're made fun of so much, you actually start laughing along with the jiggles, right? Just to make yourself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Mm,
that's unfortunate too in a way, because then you're just aiding the bullying your own self, right? Yeah.
mm-hmm. True. Yeah, because people who stutter uh, can easily be our own
Mm-hmm.
worst bullies. Especially when we sort of take offense to what one's attitude towards our stuttering. But I mean that
Mm-hmm.
makes things worse. It doesn't help our
No.
emotional self worth much at all. Yeah. Yeah. So Steve, like in terms like, do you think much about your stuttering throughout the day? I'm just thinking now at work
Not
now.
really.
Do you think?
No. When I
Oh,
first
okay.
started, yes. 9 years ago, when I first started at BBS, I thought about it every second, because I was like, I gonna be. But then after I started realizing, I'm in the studio by myself. I'm recording this by myself. I'm editing it by myself. So I can do it any way I want. So, right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then, but the worst thing about that is if you become a. So if you get on video and you fake it, then people's going to expect you not to be that way. So then it kind of contradicts it, but still it helps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you bring people into the studio to interview
Yes,
personally
yeah,
on a one-to-one
I
or
do.
as a
Yeah.
group? Okay. And this is when you inform them that you are a person who stutters and you
Yeah,
won't be
yeah.
looking
Oh
at them
yes,
as much.
yeah, yeah.
Maintaining
I
eye contact.
always, I always let them
Okay.
know that. Speech impediment. Will not probably be looking at you straight in the face, and no disrespect, but that's how I get through my day.
Hmm. You also mentioned, Stephen, that when we spoke initially, that there's a few other people who stutter in Burgeo. Is there much supports for people who stutter in Burgeo, like in the rural
Not really.
communities?
No, no, not really. Like I said, when I was in school, there was one other person. There was one other person in school with me, like it, but he was really bad. He was really bad. Like he used to hit his fist on the table and everything in order for him to get out what he would want to say. But unfortunately, he passed away in an accident many years ago in Alberta. But and then there was another guy that was older than me, and he left the community, and you know what I mean if you ask anyone that has met him outside the community, they don't even know he stutters. Only the community knows he stutters. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's an unfortunate thing because if you're bullied and all that stuff, it builds up and it does cause you to do it more. But when you're in a more calmer environment, a relaxed environment, it's not going to happen as often, right? So, but no,
Mm-hmm.
there is
Mm-hmm.
not done. No, I mean you do have counselors at the school and this and that, but if I wanted to seek counseling for myself in Burgeo, no, there is not.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you did take speech
Yes.
therapy a few years ago, and what was that like,
I
Steve?
had to go there, and when I was in college, my parents signed me up for there because there was one in the town in which I was in. So I said, might as well give it a try, and it was more of the same. I mean, going over reading exercises and breathing techniques and this and that, and I just well, I was only in school for 6 weeks, so I didn't really do it for that long. So then I could come home and just forgot all about it. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So do you remember some of the techniques this individual
Well,
taught
it
you,
was
like the breathing
yeah, it
or?
was more or less I mean taking like your deep breath and you hold it. It's more or less almost like a meditation. So you're almost trying to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and just get that river flow and actually slow down your breathing. That's the point of it, is to slow down your breathing in order to actually, get more words in a breath. No, less words in a breath. So,
Correct.
because
Yeah.
when I look back, when I used to stutter, I used to try to get too much out in one breath, right? But now, in
Mm-hmm,
saying that,
mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have developed my own techniques in order to get to where I am right now. So we did it all.
Mm. Now, what? So, Stephen, what other techniques have you developed yourself besides the eye contact and the breathing? What other targets or what other supports have you
Um,
developed
I
to
move
help
my
you
hands
with
a lot.
your
I
stuttering?
move my hands a lot. Yeah. So
Okay.
I could be talking, and also my hand could go one way, and my other hand could go the other way, and it could even be like down on my side, and my hands are moving. You know what I mean? I kind of like distracting my own self, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is a $64 word a question I always ask. In terms of the F
Mm-hmm.
word, okay, the F word for me stands
Oh,
fluency
there you
word.
go.
Is that the other? Is that the other F
Yeah.
word that we know about? So, Stephen, as a person who stutters, what's your own definition of
Fluency.
fluency?
What I'm talking right now. I'm. I think that I'm right now. I'm pretty fluent. I'm in a flow. Um, I do get stuck. I will say that every now and then, even with like my wife, I'm like, well, I can't get that out today, and then I'll just stop. But my wife is amazing. My wife has never ever said anything bad about it. Right. So, and that helps too as well. Right. You know what I mean? If you
Is it,
oh
she's your
yes,
biggest
yes,
support
yes,
system.
absolutely. No matter what I does, she is 100%. Right. So she is amazing. Right. So that helps as well. I mean, I don't have any kids. I got a nephew. And actually, in fact, when he was smaller, when he started to speak and stuff like that, he did start to mimic me. Now, I don't think that he was starting to become a stutterer, but he was just repeating how I was speaking. So then my sister, you know what I mean, sat with him and explained. I mean, Uncle Steve, I mean, speaks differently, and try not to get him into that, right? So Mm-hmm.
Okay, great, Steve. Like when you're at work, like how do you prepare yourself when you have to talk on the
Um,
radio? Do you do anything different, or do you
nope,
rehearse it, or come in
nope.
earlier to?
I free flow everything. Like, mean, I don't even write
Okay.
down questions when I'm doing an interview. I just think of it off the top of my head, and I just do it at the spur of the moment. So, because as I said, if you got a sit list of stuff there, that's all you're gonna be thinking about is what you're going to ask, right? What you going to be asking. You got in your
Hmm.
mind. You're looking at it. You're looking at it. You're looking at it, and then that's building up in your mind, right? But you mean I sometimes do have little jot notes, like just say, well, I mean, if I want to ask about something, I'll just have like one word there, so that I know is that that'll just remind me in my head that I got to ask about that. But no, I will not write out anything. Even when I'm doing my news report, I do not write out a thing. Everything is free flowed. Yeah.
Okay. As a news broadcaster in Burgeo, what type of news do you
It's more or
communicate?
less just local things. You know, what I mean, we're not MTV, we're not CBC. Uh, we just broadcast locally in Burgeo. So if there is a festival, I'll go and film the entertainment and some of the things. And if people want to come in and talk about an issue that's going on in town, I interviews the mayor of the town once a month whenever they has a council report. So the town actually gets a visual report of what's happening in the community. Um, and then anybody else that wants to come in and speak on anything, I'll do an interview with Joe Biden. So Goody
Hmm.
Hutchings comes down, our MP. She comes and sees me every time she comes. Andrew Parsons, same way. Sometimes I do Zim. Oh yeah, like
Oh,
me, I
okay.
see Andrew Parsons on the regular. So and I can actually, message him and he'll come back to me and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's just about building relationships and getting people in. I try not to step on too many I try not to step on too many toes, like because in a small community.
Is it? This is fine tuned, isn't it?
Yes, yes, because
Yeah. Gotta be
because
careful.
especially when everybody knows everybody, that you got to you kind of gotta want people to be part of your channel and this and that. And so if you start pushing buttons too much, the people's gonna be like, "No, I don't want to be on there. We don't want to see this and that." So I just try to be respectful as possible.
Hmm. You see, one of the goals that the Newfoundland Labrador Stuttering Association has is, and some stutter law, is to reach out to the rural communities in
Mm-hmm.
Newfoundland, Steve. Would you have, and it's a challenge because we're trying to reach out, inform them that there are supports available. Like we host Newfoundland Labrador Stuttering Association host a
Mm-hmm.
monthly support group. It has been sort of on
Yep.
hold for the summer, but things like that. But just to get ourselves known, but just to support other people stutter as well as other and the families. What would you suggest that we do to sort of connect with the rural communities?
Um. See, that's hard because there's many things that rural communities needs right now. You know what I mean? But for this, it's hard to say because I don't know. I really don't. Maybe if they just had, and unfortunately, in a rural areas for anything really, for dermatology or anything like that, you always got to go go out of town, right? But maybe with the technology today, like we're doing right here, with this podcast and video or something, this could be a way. So if someone in a rural community really want
Hmm.
to, and if they had access to like the internet and they wanted to edit, I think that even this here, like this could actually work for speech therapy. To be honest, you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about, as long as you can see each other and see how that person is talking and all that stuff, then you can then, I guess, help that person. But yeah, there needs to be more things.
Mm-hmm.
But in saying that, there's, things like a dialysis machine in which that this community would benefit from then as a speech person. So that's the thing. Then you got to look at what is more important, right? Yes,
Based
yes,
on need.
that's right. And
Based
if
on
I'm the
need,
only
yes.
one in
Yeah.
town,
And I'm
and
thinking
if I'm the
more.
only
Go
one
ahead.
in Burgeo that stutters, well, they don't need it. you know.
I hear what you're saying, yeah. But I think our focus is to at least uh,
Mm-hmm.
create the awareness that there is
Yep.
support available
Yes.
if for
Yes.
people who stutter needs it. And I mean, the option is to that we have it, as I was saying, we have the monthly support group starting up in September, and this is a way for people to
Mm-hmm.
attend virtually. And and just we're looking for a welcome guest to be on our podcast. So it's just creating
Mm-hmm.
awareness and
Yep.
understanding, you know, and this doesn't just go for people who stutter, but for families as well, or if there's any SLPs in the
Yes.
area that
Exactly.
wants more
Yep.
information. So we're
Yes.
just trying to promote ourselves. But I mean, having you today is I feel is a good connection,
Yes.
a
And
good
I'd like to
good
thank you
contact
very
as
much
we
for
move
having me
forward.
on. I'm I'm tickled to death. I'm so proud that this is a thing because sometimes you do feel alone, and but yeah, to bring a better understanding of stutters and stumblers or speech impediment people of all kinds, I think this is amazing. Thank you very much.
Mm. Oh, you're welcome, Steve. You're welcome. And just
Hmm?
a few
Yes,
more
go right
questions
ahead.
now before we close, Steve. Is um, do you have any thoughts or any advice to share for other people who stutters? Any shout outs or anything? Any
Uh,
thoughts
in
of
your
support?
days that you feel like you're never going to get anywhere with it, you will. You just got to have the confidence. You got to have this. Uh, and sometimes, if you don't do it, nobody's not going to do it for you, right? Sometimes you got to step up to the plate and say, "Hey, look." Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with being a stutterer. Everybody thinks that is not normal and all that stuff, but we're unique in the fact. But to regulate in the normal world, we do try to improve ourselves. Let's just say. So um, you got to work on it. If you do want to speak with a better flow, you have to work on it and have confidence in it. And you got to do things out of your norm. That's what I found. When I started doing stuff out of my norm, I
Hmm.
started being more comfortable and relaxed. And so just have confidence in yourself. That's what I would say.
Hmm. Well, Steve. Given that you're involved in communication as a broadcaster, that is quite
Yes.
the feat, because you have stepped out of your own comfort level as a person who stutters, and you're really sort of managing
Mm-hmm.
to work in this area full time, and I'm sure that gives you a lot of confidence to
Yes.
really
And
continue
especially
to
when you get
improve.
people that come up to you afterwards and like no offense, but we were totally blown away on your performance. We were expecting it to be, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They were expecting to be see me on there stuttering and probably feel bad for you and all that stuff. But he was like, wow, we were amazed on the quality of it and how good you was and stuff like that. And it was just hearing that is enough to boost your confidence then, right? So if you're doing good things, then you're getting this
Hmm.
boost
Hmm.
of confidence of people give you compliments and stuff like that, and then that do help as well.
when you have a bad day like fluency, when your
Yeah.
stutter has a down day, how do you sort of motivate yourself to get back on the
I just try
horse
to do something
and
else
feel
to
better?
distract me. Just do something else. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do
Just
you?
try. If you let it linger, it's going to boil inside you, right? That's the thing, right? You know what I mean? It's just sometimes, as I said, it's all about that like it's not really meditation, but it's kind of like just like you got to get into like this sense of relaxation, and you just like, okay, this is not working today. I got to just sit down for a moment and just take a deep breath and reevaluate things. And you almost got to try to forget that it happened, that it's happening, and just get on with your day, right? Because if you let it bother you, it will fester inside, right? Mm-hmm.
Mm, definitely. Yeah. So what when all is said and done now, what is your attitude at this point in your life
What is my what?
with your stuttering?
Oh,
Like in terms of acceptance, your acceptance
oh
level,
well,
attitude about your
I
stuttering.
accepted my stuttering years ago. And you know what I mean, my mother was always my biggest supporter because she was a stumbler. I can't say that she was a stutterer, but she was a stumbler, and she was, you know what I mean, she was my rock, man. Like my mother was, she boosted me as much as she could, right? So thankfully to her for her support, and my father too. You know what I mean, he was good as well, and this and that, but. I mean, my mother was like the main one that was my number one fan. Right? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But as of right now, I don't worry about it. I just go about my day. If I stumble, I stumble. That's it. People understand now. They know that what position I'm in. And it's just a thing that I live with every day.
Good. Well, you're sounding very positive, Steve, and you really have a really good spirit about you in terms of being optimistic and hopeful. And this is what
Mm.
people stutter we need to hear. We're always looking. I feel that the more that
Mm-hmm.
people who stutter share their stories, the more it inspires us and
Yes, yeah.
motivates us as well. Because having somebody share their own lived experiences, we
Yes, yeah.
learn and we gain
Now,
hope.
like, unfortunately, I did have an uncle. I did have an uncle that I probably seen like twice a year because he moved away and he was worked with worked with the government or something like that. And anyway, he wasn't a fan of stutters. And every time I used to see him, he used to
Mm,
always say to me, "When you going to grow up? When you going to start talking right like everybody else, like that?" And I'm like, man, you do realize that I cannot help this. Go on, he said, get it out of your system. You'll be alright. He said, you're not going to get nowhere in life like this. And, and to be honest with you, he motivated me more to to be what I am today. Right? Yep.
mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. My mother was
I
not
see what
a
you're saying. Yeah.
my mother
So
was not a fan of me.
and
No, no.
far from it. So I'm wondering, Steve. Now, what would be your
Ooh, I
next
don't know.
career
I
path
don't know. I'm going to
now
stick with the BBS
down the
until they're
road?
ready to kick me out the door. But yeah, well, I'm quite
Okay,
comfortable
good.
there. And you know what I mean? I've been there for 9 years now, and you know what I mean. I work alone in the studio, so I does the filming, the broadcasting for the filming, the editing, the news part of it, the producing, everything. One person, right? So and I'm doing that on my own.
Mm,
BBS never trained me I trained myself in everything because the people that left there, they had all the knowledge, and that the people that was, there, they didn't have knowledge wrong, so I've trained someone. But lucky enough that I had the knack to. I likes technology, and I'm not afraid of it, and this and that. So I just play around with it. They give me like 2 weeks, and I come up with my own little news program, and it has been going ever since then.
Mm. Oh, I'm looking back at my
Yep.
notes here, Steve, and I read something about you in the what they call the self-described technophile
Animator.
had planned
Yep.
on becoming a digital animator, something that would not allow him to work comfortably behind a computer.
Yeah.
Want to share about that? Just
I
say a
used to
little bit
draw
about
a
it?
lot. I did consider myself an artist, but I was an artist in the sense that if you give me a picture to draw, I can draw it just by looking at that picture. But to create something in my mind and then draw it alone, I could not do that. So when I went to school for digital animation, you had to
Mm.
do the basis of animation and all that stuff. Then you had to create your own characters and all that stuff, and I just could not do it. I could not visually do it. That in my mind, I was not able to creatively draw on my own. If I could see if I could see it, I can draw it.
Okay.
But I was not able to draw it creatively on my own. So that's why I left, because I felt it was a waste of my time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But
Ooh, do I
you
ever?
seem to love technology, though.
Well, people usually calls me for technology issues and this and that. Now, people praise me in being bitter than what I actually am, because even my little bit of knowledge is beyond them, right? So it's yeah, like I love technology. You know what I mean? I just
Mm.
like trying out the new things and this and that. And if
Mm.
if I had the full budget at the BBS, they'd be decked out with the best of the best. I tell you, they would have some nice stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Steve, thank you very much for for taking the time to be part of this conversation today. It has been fun and very informative as well. And as I mentioned before, so on behalf of some Stutter Law, thank you for sharing your own lived experiences with us. Because as I mentioned before, it really helps myself and other people who stutter, to find hope, and
Mm.
it motivates us as well. So, do you
I
have
know
any
that
last thoughts,
just
Steve,
other
before we
than
close?
thank you very much. If you need me anytime, I'm here. I'm more than happy to help you out in any way possible. Just knowing about this is amazing. This is awesome. I like to congratulate you guys on getting this started. So proud. Not even You don't even understand.
Some Stutterla is hosted by Greg O'Grady. It is produced, recorded, and edited by Paul De Decker, as well as Luca Dinu, who, by the way, wrote this jazzy theme music. Leah Bugden and Alicia Megison command our pages on Instagram and TikTok. Editing assistance was provided by the Labrador Languages Preservation Laboratory, or Labradory, at the Memorial University of Newfoundland. You can listen to or subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. Video versions of each episode are found on our YouTube page. Some Stutterla is a production of the Communication Collaborative. Thanks for listening.